This is going to be the very first ever episode of a new series called the Versus series. Starting in this episode, we have the Golden Soldier versus the Golden Scout. We've got several challenges and just questions that every single one of these characters will have to go inevitably answer, and whoever gets the most amount of these questions or challenges correct will win. Just as a clarity, the first 7-ish of these questions are just going to be very basic questions that are going to be like how much damage or how much cost they do. But however, the rest of the questions are going to be a lot more creative and I guess a lot more juicy. Let's get to the very first question.
Number 1.
How much does it cost to place down either the Scout or the Soldier? The Scout costs accordingly $200 in order to place down, and is considered to be, I believe, the cheapest tower in the entire game to place down. Then we've got the Soldier, who costs $475 in order to place down. Since the Scout is a little bit cheaper, or just very much cheaper, he wins a point for this round. Next up, the second challenge. Who has the biggest range? The Scout has an 18+-ish foot range, I think that's how it is, and then the Soldier has a 19+ foot range, to which the Soldier has a bigger range, means he wins this challenge as well, or at least he just wins this challenge. The third challenge, which is who has the fastest rate of fire. The Scout has a 0.408 rate of fire speed. However, the Soldier, since he has a burst fire weapon, he has a 0.084 rate of fire, which is insanely fast, which I'm pretty sure with the Commander's ability is even faster. So Jesus Christ. But anyway, Soldier wins this round. The fourth challenge is who has the most amount of damage. The Scout has 15 damage per shot at max. I should clarify that all of these questions or challenges are all max out levels questions, and we're not going to be doing like level per level per level because that'll just get insanely boring and just go on forever. Anyway, I forgot about that. The Soldier has a 10 damage per shot, which is a little bit weaker than the Scouts, but that's mainly because he just has a burst fire weapon, which I'm not too sure if I should count like all 6 or something like that shots in the burst weapon, but I think I'll just go with the good old-fashioned 10 damage per shot and not just damage for burst weapon or whatever, since that would be a little bit cheating and just be insanely difficult to beat. So yeah, 10 damage per shot. However, since he does have a burst fire weapon, it kind of makes up for it. The Scout wins this quest, or at least challenge in this case. Number 5, which is who has the cheapest amount of upgrades in total for costs. The Scout has collectively in total for all of his upgrades, and I'm pretty sure to place down, $6,325, which is not that costly at all, especially when you consider there is the DJ's effects as well, which dramatically bring that down, but I'm not going to go ahead and do the whole math or just look up how much it is, so we're just going to be saying that. Next up we have is the Soldier, who has a lot worse, pretty much double almost, $11,450 in order to fully max this guy out without DJ. Now, obviously with DJ it is significantly less, but in this case $11,450, to which the Scout wins this challenge. The sixth challenge is, do any of these guys have any abilities or passive abilities? Abilities are abilities that the player can press to immediately activate the appropriate tower's actions where they do a bunch of stuff. And the passive abilities are abilities such as, for an example, the Crook Boss can spawn minions over time, or Ice Towers can slow down enemies, something like that. Pretty much something that can only be activated over time or without the player's input or whatever. Sadly, none of these towers actually have any abilities or passive abilities, so in that instance, none of these guys get a point here or win this challenge. The next up, challenge number 7, is what are the requirements to unlock these guys? The easier wins another point. They're both sadly behind a $50,000 paywall and also behind pure RNG. Now, if you don't have any gold towers, but you do have every single tower, then it is just completely RNG on which tower you're going to get, which I do like specifically, because it won't be like oh, you're gonna get shit gold towers first and then you're gonna get the good ones, like for example the minigunner is the last one. It is pure RNG on which one you will get. Since they are both exactly the same way and both suck, none of these guys are gonna get any points, or at least none of them are gonna win again, and this is a tie once again. Number 8 challenge, or the challenge 8th, whatever. How many of these guys can you place down? How many scouts and soldiers can you place down in a match? The more, the better. And surprisingly, they both have no limit as well. You can place down as many as you want. But there is a troop limit, so you can only place down at maximum 40 of them. So they both get a tie here since, well, it is just having no limits. Moving on to the next challenge, number 9. This is where it starts to get juicier, since this is pretty much just not even based on the facts or whatever. How many loadouts are they viable with? So how many loadouts can the soldier and scout pretty much be into where they will just succeed in whatever loadouts? Surprisingly, since they are both early starting towers, and they are both ridiculously cheap, they work with pretty much every single loadout you can think of. Not only is their DPS extremely good, and also their rate of fire and, well, upgrades and prices to place down insanely cheap and, you know, compatible, they are essentially a tower you can pretty much put into any loadout whatever you want. They can be in any loadout as the early towers. So again, none of them win again because, I mean, it's a pure tie. Number 10. Which one of these guys has the most skins? Soldier has currently 14 skins that are either events or that you can unlock to this day. Moving on to the scout, who...
Attention, we are now at DEFCON 1. Security lockdown.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure we know who wins that one. Then finally, the final challenge. What is the release date for both of these towers? Whoever is the most early-ish released one wins, because we don't really like late boomers or whatever. And surprisingly, these two were actually released on the very same day. So again, it is a tie. And we have a winner. Our winner is the Scout. And that should conclude who is the better tower. Now, as a conclusion, I didn't want to make this a good old-fashioned, oh, Scout is just better because of stats, or Soldier's better because of stats also. So I wanted to put a little bit of a spin on this by putting fun challenges and questions that are pretty much very creative and not just purely based on facts and stats. Sure, the first few, like around the 8th or something around there, are all pure challenges that are based on facts and information, but all the other ones I decided to put them as creative ones because I didn't just want to make them purely stats or whatever, since that would be pretty boring, and plus you can know which one is the better one simply based on facts. But at least I guess in this instance it's more or less a who is the better one by both their reliability in game, but also just as a visual and an entertaining way. So yeah, unfortunately Scout wins this one, which pretty much makes the Soldier kind of look weaker, which I'm pretty sure he was always a little bit less weaker. But in my opinion, I think Soldier might be a bit better with his insanely fast rate of fire and you know how much damage he does per shot. I think he just might be a bit better than the Scout. Now the Scout does do more damage, but his rate of fire isn't the fastest, while the Soldier's is, and plus he has a burst. So I think that this guy's max out level is actually the fastest. But anyway, that is the G Scout versus the G Soldier.